following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hey, welcome to another edition of the Filthy FRB Show. Of course, I'm FRB, and I'm joined as always by Filthy Tom Lawlor. What's up, Tom?
Not too much. Well, actually, a lot. Hey, FRB, how come you don't say the date at the beginning of the show? I think that would clarify a lot of things.
Yeah, well, because a lot of times I don't know what day it is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try. Let's. It could be something like this. Welcome to the Filthy FRB Show. Today is Sunday, June 7th, 2015.
Yeah, I would like to do that, but sometimes I don't know what day it is.
Well, next time, just look at the fucking calendar and do it. if that's what you'd like to do, your destiny is in your hands.
I'm not a very good broadcast professional. I'll admit that. But the card last night, the UFC card from New Orleans, man, I mean, it's got to be one of the most action-packed, exciting cards from top to bottom in the history of the company. Yeah,
this show was awesome, man. This was I tuned in when it went on to Fox Sports 1 because, only bums fight on Fight Pass. I'm not watching those guys.
Hey,
so I tuned into Fox Sports 1, and my boy Joe Proctor was in that first fight against Justin Edwards, and pretty much set the tone. I thought that fight was pretty good and an amazing finish because I'm not sure what the scorecards would have been, but that was a very close fight.
Hey, before we get into the fights, though, did you see the UFC for the card that you're on in Chicago? They're selling some tickets on Groupon, and I thought it was actually, they were discounting them already because you were on it. And they're not discounted. It's full face value. It's just on Groupon. But did you see the description of the card and what they said about? I sent it to you. They were like, Tom Lawlor and John Vellante will trade blows, and I got to pull it up. Something about how to beat traffic. If you could pull it up on your phone, I took.
Where's this at?
It's like Groupon. Groupon is selling tickets for the card in Chicago, but I mean they're at full price. It's not like it's half price like usual.
Yeah, did you send this to me on WhatsApp or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure here. It must have been the in the conversation with our other friend. Where is it?
Yeah. Okay. Let me check.
Maybe I didn't. Did I not send it?
Yeah. How many cores deep are you, buddy?
Well, I didn't send it. Yeah, I had some this afternoon, but now I'm okay. I took a nap.
Yeah.
And
okay. Well, tweet me this thing, whatever you're talking about. So,
yeah, I gotta find it. So the first fight there, at least it might not.
So let's get into the fights.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ricardo Abreu, he got beat by Jake Collier. It was the Fight Pass. I mean, I know you didn't see it, but Collier, he had a good line. He said, "When it comes to dirt poor, I'm dirt." Did you read that?
No. I heard that he cut a great promo, but I didn't have a chance to listen to it between all the other stuff I've been watching all day.
Yeah, he started a trend last night of guys just kind of, saying how poor they were or begging for money.
Yeah, or cutting promos, as we'll get to in the co-main event.
We were talking a little bit about this off the air, that in reality, this is not that important of a card. It's not like, the winners of these fights are going to go on to fight in eliminator fights, except Rothwell, probably. But there was so much to talk about. You got Rothwell's promo. You got Tavares's cuts. You got Marcus Davis with the Freddie Roach glasses cutting a promo that people were watching. They're like, what is he talking about? I mean, there's so many different elements. You got Dan Henderson, the legend, walking in there, like an old man, looking like an old man, and just knocking this guy out. I mean, this had a little bit of everything.
You know what this was, Brian? Now that I think about it, this is like MMA's version of Canadian Stampede 1997. Remember that pay-per-view that WWE had that had like some insane 10-man tag in Canada? It was in Calgary, and Taka Michinoku versus the Great Sasuke.
Oh no! I remember it. I couldn't tell you that much
Yeah,
about it.
I could because it's generally regarded as like it was the best in your house of all time, and one of the best pay-per-views. You should go watch it if you have some time. But to me, it's kind of like that because in retrospect, that show didn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but it was a fun show with a lot of cool stuff going on, and that's what we saw last night in New Orleans.
Absolutely, yeah. So Jake Collier, he cut a promo after the show, about he said when it comes to dirt poor, he says he's dirt. And I gotta wonder, when the guys after the fights, when they cut promos saying how poor they are, I mean, does this kind of upset the UFC? Because pay always seems to be a topic of conversation.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if all the fighters felt like they were getting paid what they should, they wouldn't be saying it. So,
Yeah,
that's all it boils down to. Whether they think they should be getting $20,000 and they're only making $8, or well, I guess it would be 10 now since they raised the minimum. But no matter what it is, if the fighters don't feel like they're being rightfully compensated, then that's their platform to say so.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what business you're in, you're always going to want more money. But it's like they got guys that, I mean, they can't even afford to be professional athletes. I mean, isn't that the most asinine statement? You can't afford to be a professional athlete.
Yeah. Well, like we'll talk about Brian Ebersol's fight later, I'm sure. But he said in his retirement speech. Don't give it away. I'm sorry, that's a spoiler, but Brian Ebersol lost and then retired. In his speech that like he's been cheating the system for 15 years by being a fighter. And that's kind of the way it is for a lot of people, just kind of like doing enough to get by with fighting and not being able to set yourself up for the future. And just, that's how it is.
Yeah, it's rough. And hey, check your WhatsApp. And I just sent you a screenshot of it. We can touch upon it in a little bit, but it's just funny the way they worded it. Just you were talking about before Joe Proctor choked out Justin Edwards, and Proctor, his dad actually is an actor, and he was the #1 assistant to Captain Harris in Police Academy. And I don't think a lot of people realize Captain Harris, that was a shoot. I mean, he really is a captain, and Proctor was his #1 assistant.
Okay.
No, you can't confirm her.
I don't know. I'm trying to read this thing you sent me that doesn't even include me at all.
Oh, it does.
I don't see it.
Oh shit! Did I send you the wrong one?
All right. Where were we? Explain that to me again.
Proctor.
Procter and Gamble. Is that what's going on?
Oh, dude, this is so weird. They took you out of the description.
What?
Yeah,
I've been replaced.
Yeah, they put in there Edson Barbosa and Miles.
No way.
That's so weird.
I can't believe I was even on there in the first place.
Yeah, and it was like Tom Lawlor and John Vellante they'll be trading blows, which is kind of weird, and trading blows and exchanging tips on how to beat traffic. I was like, what? Like, who wrote this shit? So I guess somebody said something, and then
see if you can find it like in a cache somewhere. Anyways, okay, are we gonna get to these fights?
Yeah, yeah. So tell us about Proctor from the Police Academy fame beating Justin Edwards. A very historic fight, actually.
Oh, okay. I'm with you now. Okay, yeah. This was a pretty good fight. I used to train with Joe Proctor some up in Massachusetts. He's coming out of Lausanne's camp, and him and Edwards are both kind of known as guys that have good guillotines. And this was a good back and forth fight. I think the first round probably went to Edwards. Second round, maybe to Proctor. He was more effective with his strikes, but Edwards was pushing the pace, and he had the octagon control, I'd say. And then in the third round, Proctor looks like he's taking over with punches, and he hits, I think it was a knee to the body, and then locked on a guillotine on Edwards. And it was like weird. They hit the ground. Proctor was kind of pulled guard, and Edwards was trying to back up, and it looked like he wasn't going to be able to get it. He switched his grip a little bit, and it still looked like, Edwards is going to survive to the end of the fight. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, with 2 seconds left, he's unconscious, and Proctor wins.
Yeah, that was a good fight. So what was the stat? It's the latest finish in that weight division in the history of the UFC?
Yeah, that's what I think John Anik said, our buddy John Anik. Yeah, I think that's what he said was the last or the latest lightweight finish in a 3-round fight in UFC history.
Yeah, he always has his stats. I wonder who they have coming up with the stats. I wonder if it's that guy Mike Bond of MMA Junkie. I mean, I don't know how this guy does it. Do you follow him on Twitter, Tom?
No, but I will now.
Yeah, it's last name Bohn, and he's a young guy. I think he's only out of college a couple of years, but he writes for MMA Junkie, and he's got every statistic known to man. I don't know how you can come up with these statistics unless you have some kind of computer program to like tell you. But he's able to tell you everything. So yeah, that's a good follow for all things. And I also sent you another text about the Groupon thing. I can only get the Google search, so I'm not going insane.
Yeah, okay, we'll take care of that later.
Yeah. So moving on to the next fight, there was Chris Wade. He was taking on Christos Giagos. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. So just a little background on Wade. He went to Nassau Community College on Long Island, same as Chris Weidman, Phil Baroni, and then wrestled. He was a Division III All-American at SUNY Oneonta. So it looks like a pretty good prospect. He can wrestle a little bit and decent stand-up. He's 10-1. Anything stand out from that fight, Tom?
I didn't think his stand-up looked good at all, to be honest. I thought he just looked like a straight-up wrestler. He beat up Gallegos on the ground a little bit. And, it wasn't like his stand-up was terrible, but it didn't impress me. Wade hit a duck under, which I thought was pretty wild, and got a takedown off of it. But, it was a good fight. Exciting, but on this show, it's not going to be remembered for being anything.
Yeah, I'm not really impressed by any moves in MMA until I see a sunset flip.
What about an O'Connor roll?
Hey, I wanted to ask you. You said before Proctor, going back to that fight, had a good guillotine. And what is it that makes a guy have a good guillotine? I mean, is it just core strength? Real strong arms, and why do some guys? Why is theirs stronger than others?
Yes, some of it does come down to being able to control that muscular fatigue in your forearms and arms. Some of it comes down to your body makeup. If you have really big biceps that are over proportionate, or your arms are short, it's going to be tough to get some of the guillotines. For me, I have I don't know. My arms are kind of all the same size. I don't have giant biceps, or I guess my forearms are larger than normal or something. But so that lets me lock in the guillotine pretty well. And a lot of it is technique as well. I see a lot of people who screw up the guillotine, and for as many people that get it, there's probably as many missed attempts. So a lot of it is technique as well. Yeah,
that's interesting. So the next fight was Omari Akhmedov versus the aforementioned Brian Ebersol. And according to the broadcast, it was his 70th career MMA fight. I saw somebody in Sherdog said it was actually his 67th. I don't know, but a lot of fights. It's amazing. And he's only 34 years old. And apparently he's done.
Yeah, when when I saw the retirement, and I saw the news articles today, Brian Ebersol retires at 34. I was like, what? I was like, no. Is that what I'm going to look like in 2 years? He looks like he's been through some wars. I think it's aged him.
Yeah, it's amazing. But he had that epic encounter with the great Shannon the Cannon Rich.
Yeah.
And
Almond's thong.
and a lot of people think that California got it all screwed up, that he really didn't deserve to be suspended for the Shannon Rich fight.
Yeah. I don't really know a whole lot about it, so
yeah,
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, I mean, for the people out there, supposedly they said that he basically carried him. So he didn't like lose on purpose or do anything, but he kind of dragged the fight out when it was pretty obvious he's a much better fighter than Shannon Rich, but he just kind of let Shannon stay around.
Well, if that's what they need to prove that it was a work, then every Shannon Rich fight, the winner should be suspended. I
mean, I've been saying for years, let Shannon the Cannon have one fight in the UFC. I mean, he's fought in every other promotion.
Oh my God! Yeah, let's get him versus Dan the Wolfman. How about that? How was that battle never gone down?
Wouldn't you like to fight him? That I mean, it's such an easy paycheck.
Yeah. Oh man, I would love to watch those two fight. Actually, if we could somehow organize that, Shannon the Cannon versus Dan the Wolfman.
I think I'll take the Cannon by drop kick or missile drop kick.
Hey, I don't know. Dan the Wolfman, he fought in Pancrase, man. I guess Shannon fought in Pride too. So
yeah,
that argument's out the window.
And I don't know if you ever met Shannon the Cannon, but he's got this gimmick where like he'll say, mention any fighter, and like within 2 or 3 moves, I can link myself to him.
Yeah, I believe.
And I can't. This is like 8 years ago. I can't remember who I said. I might have said Hayato Sakurai, and he either fought him or within one guy he was able to link himself. And I was like, oh God, he wasn't joking.
What if it was? I would have said Datsik.
Yeah, I mean that. Remember that guy? Like there was some rumor that he had escaped the jail in Russia.
Yeah, no, I don't think that was a rumor. I think it's legit.
That was a shoot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so everybody can look up the genius that is Datsik. How do you?
Datsik. I would just type in Datsik MMA and then and then do it because
what is
his name's like Vacheslevi or something like that is his first name. But.
Yeah, Vachilesov Datsik. And what is he? I mean, the pictures of this guy.
He beat Arlovsky.
Yeah, he knocked out Arlovsky in M1. He's some
kind of. Oh my God! How great would it be if Arlovsky forgoes his title shot for a rematch with Datsik? He should lobby the UFC for that.
So Datsik's Wikipedia says he is a Russian former kickboxer, martial artist, and criminal. That's quite a description.
Is it? Are those going to be his 3 things if he fights in the UFC?
Yeah.
Kickboxer, martial artist, criminal.
So
his 3 strengths.
I mean, getting into Datsik, he says he has obsessive anti-Semitic and anti-Christian views. He's against both.
So he's a Muslim.
Is
that what we're led to believe? I don't know.
No, you're right, Tom. He really did escape jail. I thought that was some kind of troll on the underground.
No.
That's amazing.
No, this is as real as it gets.
Yeah. Well, any Datsik. I mean, you never know what you're gonna hear from Tom and I on this thing. But getting the train.
By the way, I love all races and religions.
Yeah.
Just clarify that.
Sure.
I really do.
Sure.
I love everyone.
So the next fight.
Don't take my joke for being serious there.
The Heartbreak Kid, Sean Jordan, beat Derek Lewis with sweet chin music.
I thought it was the Heartbreak Kid, Sean Jordan versus Brett Rogers 2.0.
Yeah, he really does look like him. But Sean Jordan, I mean, so that was the technical name would be the hook kick.
Yeah, I think so. Whatever it was awesome.
But even after the fight, he said, "Yeah, so I did the Shawn Michaels kick." So I guess he's a little bit of a fan, at least enough to.
Yeah, or somebody told him to say that. If he checked his Twitter at all, I mean, people were blowing it up with that. So
I put up a picture of his Sweet Chin Music with Shawn Michaels kicking Ric Flair at WrestleMania. It got 200 retweets.
Look at that! Wow.
I'm like, wow.
You're gonna be trending on Raw tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a great fight, man. I mean, heavyweight MMA, it can either be really awful or really fucking good.
I think it's both at the same time a lot of times. Like, there was some terrible technique in that fight, but it was great to watch.
Yeah, and I don't know if I heard it right. Did Stan say that Sean Jordan bench pressed 610 pounds when he was at LSU?
Yeah. But he also, Brian, if you go on Google, you can find out that he got busted for some steroid thing in college.
So he might have had a little help.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it sounds like according to the news.
Yeah, because that was it. Because I watched, I watched college football, and I guess he was on 2 national championship teams, for Saban, and then when Les Miles came in, I was like, well, shit, if you're a starting fullback on the national championship team, I mean, why didn't you play in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's the reason they didn't want to draft somebody who was embroiled in some kind of scandal.
Yeah. It said he was bringing him back from Mexico or something like that. Wow. I think he's from El Paso, and it was
yeah. Well, I don't understand the problem with that because I mean, you go down to Mexico, that it's allowed there, and all he was doing was bringing it back for some friends of his that are not in any kind of competitive athletics. I don't understand the problem.
Yeah, just he's like a mule. He was a drug mule.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, supposedly you can just walk into any convenience store and buy them there.
Look at all the luchadors. Come on, those dudes don't lift legs at all. They got these huge upper bodies.
Yeah, El Torito. He's I saw him at WrestleMania, man. He's put together.
It's juiced.
Somehow he passes creative. I was talking to Jerry Briscoe, and he's like, I need some young MMA guys, because Matt Riddle was at the NXT tryout, and I don't think he's going to get signed, and it's not because of a lack of talent, but you need to be able to pass wellness.
Yeah,
and that's a shame because I've heard some good things about him, but I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, if it comes back to me, Francisco Rivera beat Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres, and Rivera, another guy who says he's been in the UFC for a long time and has never gotten a bonus. And I didn't know to take that as he's never got a of the night bonus or he's never got a bonus period. And it kind of sounds like he's never gotten a bonus period.
Never mind that, but he got fucking screwed out of a fight with Uriah Faber.
Yeah,
eye poke, and the commission just still a loss. Screw you, buddy.
How did Faber handle that? Because I mean, if I was Faber, I'd say, hey man, yeah, I gotcha, and I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
Did Faber kind of did Faber say no? That was he kind of a dick about it, or
I don't know. My guess is his answer was shadow boxing in the window.
Yeah, but Rivera, he's pretty good, man.
Yeah, he's really good. He was swinging for the fences, and he connected, took out Bruce Leroy, and pretty impressive. Pretty much just like the next fight with Anthony Burchak and Joe Soto.
Yeah, that was one that I actually thought I had bet Joe Soto. He was like minus 175 or something, and man, he just got fucking starched.
Yeah.
I mean, Burchak, what is he's a wrestler, isn't he?
I don't, honestly, I don't know. It's tough to keep up with all these guys.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean,
but I definitely thought he was going to lose. I do know that because I did my research on this card and I got like every fight wrong.
Did you bet too? Did you bet on it or
no?
You're not. Yeah, you're not allowed to bet.
Did John Anik bet? That's my other question.
Yeah, John Anik is putting in bets during the broadcast. I mean,
he's putting in prop bets in the middle of a round.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I'm kidding. No.
How many times will the fighter spit his water on the stool?
Yeah, I like Anik talking about the lines because sometimes, when a couple guys are fighting that you don't have any connection to, you don't know anybody who knows them, you're just like, I need something to make this interesting.
Yeah, if they're a big underdog, it's enticing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I guess there wasn't too much to this. Burchak just knocked out Soto real quick, just like a lot of the other fights.
Yeah. Joe Soto Popinski didn't look too great there. So.
Yeah, but the next fight was very exciting. Thiago Tavares and Brian Ortega. Ortega won. He finished him in dramatic fashion in the third round there. And one thing that I'll bring up, and this is not a slight to Anik or Brian Stan, it's just like the UFC's production in general. They do their little pre-fight video package, and they say, coming off a layoff since July of 2014. Yeah. No. It's not a layoff. The guy was fucking suspended. And
well, that is it's not a it was a imposed layoff. It's still a layoff.
I mean that's like getting sentenced to prison time and saying you went on vacation or something.
Well, for some people it may be, Brian. Have you seen Arrested Development?
No, actually. I've heard some good things about it though.
Well, okay. But, move on.
Yeah, so that's my little rant about I think that there needs don't insult the viewer's intelligence. Boxing commentary is incredibly biased. HBO, Showtime, they all have their favorites with the guys that they have money behind. But it's like they will tell you, like, yeah, this is going on. Like they'll call the bullshit.
Yeah.
And whereas not with the UFC with their production, but yeah, I mean. This was a great fight, and Tavares, he was handling him wrestling wise. I mean, Ortega arguably was winning the fight from his back, with all the the grappling and the ground game. And man, in that first round, he threw an up hammer fist, and Tavares just busted open.
Yeah, this fight was something awesome. It was amazing.
Do you think it was a blade job or?
Yeah, I think he gigged for sure.
Well, he's an amateur. Did you see how deep he went? All he needs to do is
God, it was brutal looking, man.
He just needs to nick himself. That brings up something. Have you ever bladed?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you should put it on your bucket list.
It's not something that appeals to me whatsoever, Brian. I must say.
Yeah, it's got to be weird though to cut yourself. I guess you got to do it near the hairline.
I've never been cut in a fight either.
Really?
Nope.
Not even a bloody nose?
I have been in training. Let me think. No, not that I can think of.
What do you attribute that to? Great head movement? Because usually, the lighter your complexion, or if you're fair skinned, you're probably going to cut more. I know that's a generalization, but
I don't know. That's a good question that I do not have an answer to. I'm like Wolverine. This mute healing factor.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Never been cut, but Thiago Tavares was definitely cut, and I mean his nose was absolutely fucked. He had 2 cuts on his forehead, and I really thought that it really affected. It made him lose the fight. I thought he was going to be able to ride this guy out, because that's basically the only thing he could do, because Ortega had length on him and was, he was hitting him pretty good.
I don't know. I'd like to see what the scorecards were on this fight. from the judges before the finish. But Tavares, he was had to fight out of a lot of submissions. I mean, he was almost submitted a few times, but then he would still end up on top. I mean, Ortega had him mounted, and Tavares basically just stood up, sat up and just rolled him over. But I don't know. I don't know if Tavares was winning because he was on top, or if the judges thought that Ortega was doing more from on bottom, because he was doing more damage, but not necessarily controlling the fight. So when he got the finish in the third, I was a bit surprised. I thought that Tavares was going to end up getting another takedown or riding him out as well, but Ortega blasted him and knocked his mouthpiece out, and Big Dan stepped in for some reason, put the mouthpiece back in, they restarted, and Ortega just blasted him again and finished him. And awesome performance by him. But one thing, though, that I don't understand is, from what I understand, he is the heir to the Ortega salsa fortune. So I don't know why he's fighting.
Ortega salsa? Is that... Okay, so that is a big, well-known brand, huh?
I believe so, yeah. I hope so. Otherwise, I just fucked up the joke.
No, you got it. I just Googled it. It is. I'm not that up on the salsa scene, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it's America's number one condiment.
There you go. And Mexico, and I'm sure, too. Yeah. No, I mean, is Ortega Mexican or Brazilian?
He's American, I think.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah. He trains with the Gracies.
He's a Black House guy too, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he trains with Kevin Casey.
Yeah, so he was one of those guys that all got
caught. They take the same supplements, I think.
Right. They all have the same strength and conditioning coach, the 57-year-old jacked out of his mind, whatever that guy's name is.
It's the guy that's in the back of all the airline magazines for eugenics or whatever. He's their strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, that guy. But, unrelated to the actual fights, Brian Stan was talking about how some corners now, they're giving instructions to the fighter, almost whispering, because the other corner has guys, listening at home, watching it on TV or watching it on their computer, and then texting the corner with the instructions.
Yeah, that's way overdoing it. I mean, come on. Nothing that anybody's going to be able to text in there is going to be able to make a difference in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that was my reaction. It's not like baseball when, you're able to tell the batter, hey, curveball's coming, or, sit on the fastball. Just sit back and it's coming. Be ready. And it's going to be difficult. I mean, that, like you said, that's just taking it to an extra degree, and I wonder if it's just information overload for some guys.
Yeah. Listen, there's very little that you can do even when you're in there. I mean, you don't hear what's going on. Your mind's moving at such a fast pace that you have to constantly readjust your thoughts and refocus. And, even if they tell you something right when you're about to start the second or third round, that's going to be gone in 10 seconds, because you can't dictate what the other guy's going to do.
Absolutely. So, next fight, Dustin Poirier beat up Yancy Medeiros.
Well put. He beat him up.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was like a schoolyard fight. He was ragdolling him around, just not even like a takedown, just threw him to the ground.
Did you take issue with Big John not stepping in earlier?
No, I thought it was okay. I mean, I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought Medeiros was out of it. Like his.
No, yeah, he was up against the cage, but I think he was swinging back. He was swinging back. He wasn't out of it the whole time. Whether those punches had any mustard on him is a different story, but.
Yeah, so that was Poirier's first fight at 55, I guess, in the UFC. Second fight.
Yeah, he beat Carlos Diego Ferreira.
He's a UFC fighter?
Yeah. I was reading a preview of the show yesterday, and somebody said, Poirier's last win was against Cesar Mutanch Ferreira. And I'm like, no, different guy. Mutanch fighting who's he? He's fighting Jorge Masvidal, but Mutanch was like a 205er.
Oh yeah. Oh
He's
man, yeah. Is he a Black Zillions guy?
Yeah, he's Vitor's like protege.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with these guys, man. So
You know what it is? These people need like cooler names. Like Gunnar Nelson.
yeah, you remember that.
Everybody remembers that guy. Jimmy Manua. That's a pretty cool name.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I even had an idea, and I don't think he liked it. I said to Musasi, stop with this gig guard Musasi gimmick. You need to change it to Jerry Musasi. Jerry Musasi sounds like that cool guy that you went to high school with that could always get the weed and the cigarettes and the booze. I mean, that's a cool name, Jerry Musasi. You think he should be repackaged?
He's like he'd be like the equivalent of Johnny Dakota from Saved by the Bell today.
Is that the?
Do you remember
Did he?
Johnny Dakota?
Did he steal Kelly Kapowski from Zach?
Yeah, he was like an actor or singer or some shit, and he stole Kelly Kapowski, but then he was like trying to sell him cigarettes or something.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's unbelievable. But I mean, this was the one I was really.
We could do an entire show on different gimmicks for guys. I mean, I've thought about this in depth.
But this is a perfect transition because you want to talk about gimmicks. Now Ben Rothwell, who choked out Matt Mitrione with a front choke, a modified front choke, he now has. I don't even know how to describe this gimmick. I mean, last night I said it was kind of like Star Trek meets the Shockmaster.
I think he's auditioning for the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah, I mean, the Barbarian and Meng and.
Yeah, he had like some weird Dracula-ish music, or I don't know what the hell that was. That was playing. It's it sounded like from what was the name of that? Not Dungeons and Dragons, but it was a Nintendo game. Dungeons and something.
Zelda?
No. Oh, I'm not going to remember it now. But anyways, yeah, it was like, I don't know, some medieval gimmick. Pretty good laugh, though, I thought.
Yeah. So what did you think of the promo, though?
Okay, so the promo was awesome, right? You could tell how rehearsed it was. And then the best part is, so he goes through this promo, says, if you think you haven't seen anything yet, or something, I don't know what he said. But then he put on the sinister laugh, like, whoa, and did a hand signal.
Yeah.
He tried to flee. He tried to flee the cage. And John Anik, in like the most awkward voice ever, it was like the most awkward situation, is like, excuse me, could we get your words on the fight? And he's like, what? And he comes back and he goes, we'd like some words on the fight. And Ben Rothwell was just like, totally had to go off the script and just went right back to his normal self.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it and I was like, stay in character. Don't break character, you fucking idiot. And, Anik's not a wrestling guy. I mean, he doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't know that he, but I mean, he should have walked. After he said what he needed to say, then he switched back into Ben Rothwell and gave it away.
It was so fucking awkward.
And what is this like hand sign? Like he puts his left arm down, and then immediately as that goes down, the right arm comes up.
Yeah, it shoots up.
I mean, and I'll read something here from Super Calo's Twitter account here. It says, and to give you an idea of how many people were talking about this, Super Calo says, what Big Ben Rothwell did transcended MMA. I was getting my morning organic soy latte, and the barista was talking to the hairdresser about Ben Rothwell.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty awesome.
So I mean, my advice to these guys, man, you don't need to be as over the top as Ben Rothwell, but man, come up with something, a couple different lines. I maybe it was goofy, but I like it, and we're talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is one of the major stories that's coming out of this. I'd say it's like the Tavares Ortega fight, this promo, and Dan Henderson's right hand. Those are the three big stories coming out of this show.
See, that's another great segue. You really set that one up on the tee for me because you're forgetting one of the best moments of the card last night, and I think it happened right after this fight on the broadcast.
No. It happened right before.
Right before. The legendary, the King of Ireland, Marcus Davis, was interviewed by Heidi Androl. Was that right? Was Heidi doing it?
Yes.
And so Marcus Davis has on the Freddie Roach, glasses. If you've ever seen Freddie Roach, he always has these very fashionable glasses on. And so tell us a little bit about what was Marcus talking about, because I don't know.
How the fuck do I know? He was all over the place.
You're
a
New England guy.
Talking about. It was going on forever.
Yeah, it was kind of odd. He was talking about Dan Henderson. It seemed like he was Dan Henderson's guy.
Well, who doesn't love Dan Henderson? That's the problem. How could
true.
you even get excited to fight the guy?
That's true. I mean, we all want to be Dan Henderson when we grow up. He's kind of like a more down to earth Randy Couture. But so do you have any clue what Marcus Davis was talking about?
No, I mean he was talking about the training camp and that they thought that Bosch had what it took to beat him, and that was pretty much it. But I mean, he did it forever.
Yeah.
You know what you do? We should audio capture that and just have that as the intro of the show.
I'm all right. Yeah, all right. I'm writing that down right now because
The entire thing.
Yeah,
the entire promo.
I mean, I'm telling you guys. I mean, this show was just one hit after the other. I mean, great fights. Marcus Davis like going on and on about who the hell knows what.
It was like a Bray Wyatt promo.
Yeah.
Going on forever. Nobody knows what the hell he's talking about, but you're scared to take the microphone away from him.
Yeah, I wonder if he was just nervous or something. I mean, it's not the first time he's talked on camera.
Yeah, I don't know, but Heidi Angel's kind of hot. Maybe
got a little intimidated by Heidi.
Yeah, it's possible.
Dave Meltzer tweeted last night that Marcus Davis trained Samoa Joe and Tim Bosch. So he almost is like the Freddie Roach of MMA.
Yeah.
I mean, Samoa Joe is quite a powerhouse. But the main event, of course, what struck me first was Dan Henderson made the walk first, and Bosch got to come out last just by simple virtue of Bosch being ranked higher in the UFC official rankings.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? I think it's bullshit.
I mean, I could see it either way. What the fuck's it matter?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Well, does the fight matter?
It's 2015, and we're talking about grown men fighting in a cage. And we're going to bitch about who walked out first? Come on.
Yeah.
Get over it. If people, you know what? If people are that obsessed with it, they fucking take this stuff too seriously.
That's interesting. That brings me back. The only other time that this ever really brought... You remember Heath Herring got all pissed off that Brock Lesnar, at UFC 87, I think Brock was going to come out last, and he kicked up a lot of dust. And he got fucking pissed and bitched to the UFC. And then, if I remember correctly, he got it reversed, so he got to come out last. And that's why Lesnar was like, remember with the lasso thing?
Yeah.
He was really rubbing it in because he was like, he kind of made it a point like, who is this guy to walk out last? When really, I mean, it's like Heath, I mean, it's Minneapolis. I mean, there's 15,000 people here that paid $2 million. They're here to see Brock Lesnar.
What does it matter? Listen, when that fight starts, if you're in that cage and you're thinking to yourself, I'm so fucking angry that I had to walk out first, you're not going to win the fight. It doesn't work like that.
Is there a do you like coming out last, or would you rather be in the cage and just kind of gather your thoughts while the other guy walks? How does it matter to you?
Yeah, I like to go in first.
So then you can just
Well, because I do a lot of dancing and stuff, so it gives me more time to recover.
yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, you do want to kind of psych yourself up a little bit, and it's tough to psych yourself up after you're dressed in an American flag, dancing to James Brown songs. So,
yeah. So before we get into the Henderson fight, you're about 6 weeks out from UFC on Fox in Chicago against John Vellante. How's the camp going?
great, feel great.
Yeah,
Way better. I mean, I feel better than I thought I was going to feel. At this point physically, so really happy with that. Everything's coming together, and I'm looking forward to it. Especially a little bit of added incentive here is that I look at the UFC rankings yesterday, and lo and behold, Jean Vellante is number 15. So after I get this win, I'll be in the top 15.
Wow. Yeah. So that is some motivation. So yeah.
Yeah.
You got a guy that people have heard of. They could have. Do you know when it's going to be? Is it going to be? It's going to be on the FS1 prelims, I would assume, right?
I believe the whole show is going to be on Fox. I think I'm not quite sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's
So like last time, the whole thing was on Fox. So I don't know if they're showing all the Fox prelims or not. I have had Fox did come film like some segments with me a while back. So I was kind of surprised by that, but we'll see. And I was mentioned on Groupon for some odd reason. So.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to look
seems
at
like
that?
this fight. I think what it is I think people like seeing these these comeback stories. Like, remember Mike Swick was out for a while.
Yeah.
He comes back. He was on Fox.
He had a problem with his esophagus, right? Wasn't that the?
Yeah, something like that. What's going to happen when TJ Grant comes back? He's going to be a featured story,
Yeah. Well, that is a story. I mean, I heard or I read that he's a minor now in Saskatchewan.
Yeah. It sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
If TJ Grant listens to this podcast, I'd like to talk to him because it sounds like something I'd like to do one day. I think they make good money.
Yeah.
Like really good money.
I'll reach out to him. He follows me. I follow him on Twitter, so I can just send him a message. I was curious myself. Hey, what happened? I mean, this is a guy that was going to fight for the world championship, and then he suffered a concussion. And I'll admit, I was the first one like, oh yeah, UFC just pulled him because they wanted Anthony Pettis on there.
Yeah.
And no, man. I mean, it must
Sucks.
be really bad.
Yeah, it sucks because he was looking great. He's really skilled and tough, and I think he's a really good fighter. It just sucks that he had this concussion and can't seem to shake it. But I think in the article that I read, he said that he was over the concussion now, finally. But he had to take this job in the meantime to support his family. So more power to the guy.
Yeah, and I like you said, I assume that pays really well. I mean, it's mining and shit.
Isn't that like where Brock lives now too, or something? Does he live up in Saskatchewan?
Well, I believe his farm is in Manitoba.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, saying, you live out west. It's like, well, it's a big. I don't know what's a big city in Manitoba?
Winnipeg.
Oh, Winnipeg is in Manitoba. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it's not in the middle of nowhere. But getting back to Dan Henderson, he knocks out Tim Boesch, and I mean, walking into the cage, Dan was, he's looking his age. He doesn't have the muscle mass that he used to have, but I mean, man, he's still got some dynamite in his hands. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but Dan was never like the most jacked guy, anyways. Even when he was on TRT, it didn't look like he was, like overblown and all muscled up, like some of the other guys that we've seen on it. So I really don't, I just see the physical change in him, and it's like, well, guy's in his 40s. What do you expect him to look like? Yeah, he looks like some guy in his 40s should, not like the other guys who've been using TRT and steroids and look like they're, they have the body of a 25-year-old.
Yeah, and I had this argument, with some guys, like with TRT. I mean, there's a long list of guys who used it, but there's a very short list of guys whose body totally transformed on it.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Henderson never, like you said, he's had the same body, basically on TRT and off TRT. I mean, he's a little smaller now, but he's also really old. I mean, he'll be 45 in August. I mean, I can't even get my head around, getting locked inside a cage at 45 years old. I mean, anybody that's seen Dan, he kind of walks around like he's hurting, And
Yeah, he's like the Terry Funk of MMA. He's like all beaten up, tough for him to walk, but when he gets in there, he fucking goes for it.
Yeah.
It's like his body remembers what to do again, no matter how broken down he is. So, it's going to be a sad day when there's no more Dan Henderson. But
yeah, and people were trying to, already writing him off. He's going to lose to Bosch, and then he should retire. And he's not retiring anytime soon. I mean, I know that firsthand. I just saw him about, I don't know, a couple months ago, and he was talking about it. He's like, no, I got 3 fights left on the deal, and going to fight off, at the very least, going to fight those 3 fights.
yeah, hey, he's got a contract.
Yeah, and for pretty big money. I mean, probably $250,000 or more. I mean, that's some pretty good money if you can get it. He won't have to be begging for a bonus like the rest of the guys on the card.
Yeah, and he's a guy that they can't cut because Bellator would snatch him up, and everybody loves Dan Henderson.
Yeah, and because if Bellator did get him, I mean, it's you put him versus Tito, and you got 2 million viewers.
Yeah,
So
and then the winner of Kimbo versus Shamrock.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that. I mean, I know Shamrock's going to take a dive, but I'm really interested.
Come on, you don't know that.
Like, how is he going to sell it really good, or is it going to end up embarrassing Bellator that Kimbo throws a punch that misses him by a foot and he dives, and I mean,
I'm just hoping for a Dada 5000 run-in.
Did you have opportunity to see that documentary on Netflix called Dogfight?
No, I did not, but I did see Dada 5000 fight in real life, in person.
Yeah, for people that don't know, Dogfight it's on Netflix right now, and it's a documentary about Dada 5000 and street underground, street fighting scene in South Florida, Miami. But when did you see Dada, or where, or if you're even allowed to?
Well, he had an actual fight.
Oh, it was an MMA fight. It wasn't one of
yeah. Let me double check to make sure it was him.
But it was interesting in the documentary, not to give it away too much, but he said like Kimbo was kind of holding him down, like because Dada was like saying that he was getting over, and Kimbo was kind of holding him back a little bit, and it was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I saw it was Dada 5000. I saw him fight. It was in 2010, the Action Fight League Rock and Rumble 2.
You fight anybody that anybody would hear of, have known?
No, he fought Cedric James, defeated him in 2 minutes and 34 seconds of the first round. I remember this fight; it was awful, and I think Cedric James actually was in mount, and they stood him up. No joke. I'm almost positive about that. But look, there's some other people on this show. Like Dan Kramer was on this, Wagner Roca, Jessica Aguilar, former WEC title contender Ariel Gandula.
Who?
There's some decent talent on the show, but Deadeye 5000 was on as well. And there was a wild brawl.
Where did that take place?
What's up?
Where did that take place? That card?
Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida.
Oh, okay. They're hosting Machida versus Romero. June 27th, I think. That's an interesting fight.
Yeah, I'm going Machida.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on the Romero. I don't know. Romero, he kind of seems he's a really slow starter, though. I don't know if and so is Machida, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of changes we'll be seeing in the UFC.
I see where you're going with that. But, you know, I don't know, man. I brought that up to some people in the wrestling community, and they're like, no, he's always looked like that. And he's always been subject to WADA testing. And they're like, I don't know what it is. The guy just, unless Cuba has had some incredible lab, they're like, he's always looked like that.
Yeah, well, hey, I don't know.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's got an incredible look. But yeah, I mean, that's a good transition. The other thing I wanted to touch upon, the UFC came out with their new drug testing protocol, and it's going to be overseen by USADA. I guess they got two labs here in the United States, one in Salt Lake City, the other at UCLA, and then I believe there's another one in Montreal. So those are like the three main ones. So as a UFC talent, Tom, you're like, if you were to go back east to, you know, visit your family or whatever, you would have to send them an email or something and say, hey, I'm going to be in Massachusetts. I'm letting you know in case you come and test me.
I don't know. Good question. We haven't really been. I haven't been told exactly what to do yet. So,
I mean, that's my understanding. And if they come to drug test you and you're not there 3 times on 3,
yeah, then that counts as a failure. But like I said, I mean, they haven't given us the information, or if they did, I haven't been. I haven't received it. So,
yeah. See,
I want to know stuff, and I need to know it, but I don't have it yet. So,
yeah, that's not good. That's I mean, geez, if these guys are going to be subject to all this intensive testing, you might want to tell them, you know, and so they don't have to, you know, read it on the internet, and you know, it might be right or it could be a little bit off. You know, here just to throw out some numbers. This is from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. No announced minimum number of tests per athlete, but there will be a minimum of 2,750 tests administered by USADA during the course of the year for the 574 fighters on the roster. So that works out on average to 4.8 tests per year per athlete.
Yeah. So I think it's the right thing. I think it's great. I think it's going to change the sport. I think you're going to see guys. I think it's just going to become a younger man's sport. You know, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult to. I mean, yeah, once you start getting close to 30, because there's been so many studies that, you know, people used to say, oh, your prime is 28 to 32. And there's been a lot of, you know, with this, what are they called? Sabermetrics. Am I saying that right?
I don't know.
You know, and these, you know, the Bill James types in baseball, it's gone to other sports, and they've really crunched the numbers and said, no, that's a fallacy, that really it's 25 to 29. And, you know, and so once you start getting to 30, and it's actually, for females, it's actually even younger. You know, their prime, unless you're like Serena Williams.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I wasn't even going for that, but yeah, that is right. So, what took them so long? Why is this like 2015?
I think a lot of it has to do with logistics and pricing it out. But I also think a huge portion of getting it done quickly is the recent, you know, like high-profile failures and problems that the UFC's had with, you know, people failing drug tests, the whole John Jones drug testing situation. I think, unfortunately, this stuff was put into the public eye, and something had to be done for the UFC to save face in this situation. And, you know, it just so happens that now is the right time to do it, and it's long overdue.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've said before, hey, I don't care what they're on. I'm just watching this for entertainment. And to some degree, there's quite a few fans who feel that way. But then I start thinking, hey, if this was the way that you made a living, you wouldn't like it that somebody was getting an edge. And I think of
it's like Brian. It's kind of like if you're not using, you're a stripper who hasn't had any plastic surgery done. And if you are using, you're the stripper with the nice new tits. and big, luscious lips and voluptuous ass that's getting all the tips.
Oh man, maybe yeah, because of the Reebok deal, you can't get any sponsors. I was going to say there's quite a few establishments in Vegas that might be interested in getting into the Tom Lawlor business. Well, they can't sponsor you outside the cage.
Stud Farm.
Have you heard back from Farmers Only?
No, Brian.
No.
No, I'm off the market.
Oh, that's right. I mean, I didn't know that was. At first I thought it was a joke. I just saw some people on Twitter talking about it, but no, it's a shoot. I mean, it's a real website that has somehow they have enough money to buy commercials like during the UFC.
Yeah, it's a good website. I love it. You should check it out.
I'm probably already on there because somebody, like, I don't know, found some old picture of me and wanted to fuck with me and put it on there. But yeah, that's on my to-do list, you know. But so the suspensions, you know, what are we looking at here? Basically, for a steroid or EPO or HGH, were 2-year first offense.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And the best part of all this is you give up your entire purse, right? You forfeit your whole purse.
Right. Yeah, you forfeit your purse, and it's not a no contest. It's a loss on your record.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a no contest for the guy that loses if you win. But man, what a change, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Brian, if you say we fight, you beat me, and then you test positive for pizza, then
Coors Light.
Yeah, Coors Light. Then your win is taken away, and my loss is taken away. But you get a loss, and I get a no contest.
Sure. And the other thing they announced was some kind of partnership with some company, Exos in Phoenix, some facility. They sent Luke Rockhold, Rashad Evans, and CM Punk, just an odd trio. And
because
what is that about? What is that?
CM Punk is a longstanding UFC member who deserves to be sent on these special trips.
Yeah. What is this partnership with Exos? Like, what are they trying to claim that this partnership is going to do?
I don't know. I read the press release and I can't really tell you. It says that they're going to send out trainers and stuff to select gym locations. So it's like, what, you're going to send out trainers to help out people that you want to help out? I don't get it.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some gyms that, hey, we don't want your help. We got a pretty good thing going here. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Very interesting deal. But there's not really a whole lot of information that I got about it, so it's tough to form an opinion.
The other thing, of course, this is not anything new, but they also talked more about their plans to build a state-of-the-art injury rehabilitation facility at the new Zuffa campus or headquarters. So I'm wondering, if you get injured, like they put you up out there in Vegas and take care of all your expenses. Well, I mean, wonder how that works. How long do they let you stay there?
I don't know. I think they just put you into like a chamber that regenerates you, and you come out like a month later.
So I see here the Fusionetics. Am I saying that? Fusionetics.
I believe so.
So what do they do? They analyze.
I don't know.
All right, I'm taking this from the Observer. They analyze the bodies of the athletes, their strengths and weaknesses. That'll really work out well with the female fighters. I'm sure they'll love that.
Yeah, I've been analyzing the bodies of the UFC 115-pound division for a few months, and they're not asking me for my help.
Yeah, I was analyzing Paige Van Zandt. They're not paying me nothing for it though. But so they're going to determine their strengths and physical weaknesses and devising individual training programs to bring up their weaknesses and make their body more balanced. So basically, they think it's a gimmick to reduce the injury rate.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to see.
My guess is I don't get offered the service. So
Well, I mean, you're right there in Vegas. They might.
yeah, that's true. But the other place is in Phoenix, so it's not like I'm not sure Fusion X is even in Vegas.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder. I'm gonna have to read more about it because it seems like I don't know some. If the UFC went into business with them, I'm sure there's some credence to what they claim they can do.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you hear Dana talk a lot about the guys, training in the gym is, in the Stone Age, and things have changed a lot since the days of the Lions Den, where the guys would just, basically kill each other every day, and they thought that was good training. What do you think of you're at Syndicate? Like, what is the training techniques constantly evolving? I mean, you're a coach now. Where are you getting your ideas of how to train some of the athletes, that you work with?
Well, it's pretty easy to schedule out practices and stuff like that when you've been through, wrestling practices and wrestling systems in the past. You kind of understand program design, and, you can pinpoint weaknesses and strengths and kind of work around those. So, I've read a lot of books about coaching. I also, I was an education major in college, so I kind of understand different ways to communicate and different things to emphasize in order to get the desired result. So for me, there's a multiple amount of factors and influences that go into what I do now. And I just watch a lot of fights. I watch a lot of pro wrestling, and I draw influence from both.
About the sparring, though, how do you know like what's too much sparring, what's the right amount of sparring, or is it just different for each person?
It's different for each person. What you don't want to do, and what I've done in the past is done way too many rounds of sparring, and now you see kind of a shift to letting your body take possibly more damage in the fight and going into the fight a little bit fresher than in the past, where everybody's run down during their training camp, and basically you're trying to kill yourself to toughen you up to get into the fight. There's been a definite shift away from that mentality and more towards having days where you're training lighter and you're giving your central nervous system a bit of a break, and then days where you're training harder and you have to organize an overall plan.
Yeah. Just to finish up here, I wanted to get your thoughts on Brock Lesnar and Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestling at WrestleMania next year in Dallas. Do you think it's just idle chatter, or do you think Stone Cold actually would come back and wrestle?
I mean, if he's going to come back, it's going to be for that. If they want to fill that place that they're talking about, I mean, they'll probably be able to do it. But I mean, if you want to have the biggest crowd ever, you're going to need to pull out all the stops, and that match would definitely be one of them. And there's no better place for Stone Cold to have his final match and come back than right in his home state of Texas. So I think they're going to try to get that on the show. I think they'll try to have Triple H versus The Rock, and then we'll probably see some. Maybe you'll get the Shield three-way for the title as the headliner.
And I wouldn't be shocked. What if CM Punk fights in January, gets his ass kicked, and they have him back in WWE for a bunch of money with in by late March?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen.
But I mean, a little update on CM Punk. Askren was saying he's really coming along. I mean, he's looking good, and Ben's he's not in the business of giving out compliments to people that don't deserve them. So apparently he's working hard in the gym, and he's on pace to be able to compete by January, against somebody with he has no experience, so it would be somebody with a little bit more experience, like I don't know, maybe 1-0 or 2-0 or something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who they dig up for this.
It's going to be such a surreal moment to see him walk, for a shoot fight. It's just going to be so weird.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it. I wouldn't be surprised if he never fights, but we'll see.
That's another theory that a lot of people have shared with me, that they think it was just one big publicity stunt. It was like, because they were like, why would you send him on a press junket, on all the major channels? The guy doesn't have a fight scheduled. I mean, the guy doesn't have anything to talk about. I mean, what is that about? Like, he didn't even pick a training camp when they sent him on that press junket.
Yeah. It's just a very strange situation, I guess. But, I mean, if they were doing it to gain headlines, it works, so good for them. But, I wouldn't be surprised if he just takes a different role as some sort of ambassador or a commentator in the future. And to be honest, I don't think anybody would, look downly upon him if they did put him in that role. I think people are going to be more upset if he, goes in there and fights and steals the spotlight from a bunch of other fighters who they think should deserve it. So, we'll see. I mean, he's got a long way to go to catch up to most of the fighters in the UFC, but if he's dedicated, you can do whatever you set your mind to, Brian.
That's what I keep telling myself. But it's difficult when you have a guy like Punk on the roster. It's basically you have to have your regular UFC, and then you have to have the CM Punk division, because he can't fight the guy. Like he says he's going to fight at 170. He can't fight any of the current guys at 170 pounds that are in the UFC. You have to sign. You have to have the CM Punk division.
Yeah, but do you honestly believe the goal is to have him, fighting guys in the top 10, top 15? It could be one fight and done.
I think that's the most likely scenario. Just one big cash grab and then go back to Vince and put on a good show, win or lose, and then go ask for more money from WWE, and I think they'd be willing to do business.
You really think that's what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't see him going back there anytime soon.
Well, he can't be done with wrestling. It's the only thing he does well.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe he's good at comic books. I don't know. I don't read comic books.
He's got a pretty hot wife.
Yeah, who's unemployed too.
Yeah, and he's had like every girl that ever ran through that roster. So, he's pretty damn good at getting girls across the board.
Him and Batista have gotten everybody.
Yeah, good for them. Hey, it's MMA draws the alpha males.
I heard a story. There was a guy that I'll tell you off air, but he was getting a push in WWE, and a pretty well-known guy. I mean, he was upper mid-card, and people really liked his athleticism and his gimmick. And basically, Batista kind of went and stole his girl, or not.
Talking about Johnny Mundo.
Yeah, did I already tell you this?
No, but this is well known.
Oh, okay. So apparently they killed his gimmick because he didn't stand up to Batista.
Yeah.
They killed his push. His push, rather, I should say.
Yeah. Basically, that's what I heard too. I can neither confirm nor deny, but basically the story I remember was that Johnny Mundo was like a cuckold, basically, right?
Yeah. And this comes from really good source. So it was like all he had. He didn't have to go beat the guy up. He just kind of had to stand up for himself. And Vince heard about it and was just like, "No, I'm not pushing this guy."
Yeah. Well, maybe he's into watching. He's a voyeur. People who are like that.
It's possible. Yeah. All right. So we touched upon the UFC show a little bit of pro wrestling, and then the drug testing issue, and I think maybe this week we'll try to talk a little bit about UFC 188.
Yeah. Who's on that? Kane and Verdum.
Yeah.
They got Eddie Alvarez and Gilbert Melendez. And then what are the other fights?
Well,
Kelvin Gastelum versus
let me pull this up.
Nate Marquardt.
Yeah, that's on there. Tisha Torres, Angela Hill is on the main card. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Preliminary card headlined by Henry Cejudo and Chico Camus. Is that how you say it?
Yep. Chico Camus.
Yeah, I don't recognize the Irish fella. Pendred is on
Yep.
the prelim
It's
card.
all Penford. Is Chavo Guerrero Jr. on the show?
No, but I heard Rey Mysterio is going to do a run in the main event.
Yeah. How great would it be if the LWO shows up?
Who is that?
Oh, you don't remember? It was all the I think Eddie Guerrero might have been the leader, but it was all the Latin fighters, it was the Latin World Order. It was like
Oh,
Cyclope, Psychosis, El Dandy. You know, it was every
I'm
every geek.
I'm more of a Mexicool guy.
Mexicals were awesome too.
I mean,
They were great. Hey, I was watching the New Japan Best of the Super Junior finals earlier, where unfortunately my boy Kyle O'Reilly lost in the finals to Kushida, who is a former MMA tournament winner in the Japanese promotion ZST. So there's some MMA tie-in right there. But there's a match between Mascara Dorada and this guy Barbario Cavernario. Have you ever seen this guy?
no.
He's kind of like he's like a lucha libre, like I guess he's like a comedy wrestler. He's like a caveman.
Right.
But I thought his stuff was great. I saw this guy. I hadn't seen him wrestle before, and I was blown away. He's my new favorite wrestler.
Yeah. So you watched that? What is that? New Japan World?
Yep. New Japan World.
And they have an English website now.
Actually, I think that their website does translate into English. And what they have is it's very similar to the WWE Network, but it's $8 a month, I think. It's like 8,000 yen or something. Who knows? And they have live shows on there. They have shows from the past. So it's basically like a scaled down version of the WWE Network, but for New Japan.
Yeah. WWE Network, man, that thing is awesome. I've been watching Clash of the Champions from 90 and 91, and I mean, just like remember that scaffold match with?
Hey, if you're gonna watch some of these, why don't I'll watch them too, and then we can review them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was actually watching the Fantastics and Tommy Raj. I mean, this is a little bit before my time. I wasn't really into wrestling maybe until like 91, but this is from 88, and the Fantastics was Tommy Rogers and who? Stan Lane, or he Midnight Express?
Maybe both. Let me check.
The reason
that's way before my time. So, but I know that he just passed away.
We're the same age though.
It was Bobby Fulton.
Oh, Bobby Fulton.
Yeah.
Let's see, Bobby Fulton. Yeah. Tommy Rogers is a young man. He's only 54, passed away.
Yeah.
Did they put? He was found dead in his Honolulu home by his roommate. Wow, that's unfortunate. Well, all right. I guess we'll leave it on kind of a somber note there. So rest in peace, Tommy Rogers of the Fantastics.
What the fuck? That's how you're gonna end it?
Well,
out of nowhere? We didn't even talk. We never said we're gonna bring that up ever. You bring up the most depressing shit ever, and that's how you end the show. Yeah. Hey, guy, remember us? We left you depressed.
Well,
Come on.
What do you got?
You gotta end with something better than that.
Let's see. What could we? Let's see what's on MMA fighting.
What, are you looking for a news article now?
Yeah, this is kind of. That's kind of the cheat sheet.
Hey, is there how about an update? Hopefully, a good one on Troy Mandalonis. Any news there?
No, man. I mean, I just saw actually it was on Justin McCauley's Facebook. You know, he's in a medically induced coma. He fell off a ladder, and
oof.
You know, Ulysses Gomez also confirmed that. I guess he knows him, or he knows Troy's family, and it seems like a really bad situation. I saw somebody, I don't know if it was Troy's mother's Facebook, but somebody who's related to him was saying something like prayers are needed at this time, and just very cryptic. And I don't want to be negative, but usually when people are kind of very cryptic about things, it's like, things are not looking very good at all. And they're like just hoping for a miracle to happen.
Well, let's hope we get some good news. Unfortunately, and this is going to, continue on in the future, is that the longer we go on here through MMA, there's going to be more people that have been involved in the sport who pass on. So, hey, we're all going to go sometimes. But, hopefully now's not the time for Rude Boy there.
Yeah, so he was on season 7, and you were on 8?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's right.
Yeah. 7 was Hughes and Sarah, if I recall right.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll finish it up. Ben Rothwell. So we'll leave it on a little bit better note. Who should he fight next? He's talking about wanting a rematch from a really good fight, actually, at Affliction in 2009, a rematch with Andrei Arlovsky. What do you think?
Yeah. I think that's a good fight, actually. I think Stipe Miocic deserves the next shot. I think that's a fight that more people want to see, rather than having Ben Rothwell fight for the title. And I think Arlovsky, realistically, I don't know. It's tough. You could give him the title shot, I guess, too. But I think Stipe has definitely done more to deserve it. So I think putting Arlovsky against Rothwell in the number 1 contenders fight's a great idea. Sets up one of those two guys to fight the winner of Verdum and Kane when they fight the winner of when they fight Stipe. So you'll have 2 title contenders set up there.
Yeah, I like that idea. And I mean, you can sell Rothwell now just because of that laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine promos with that laugh? I mean, people would be like scared. They'd be like, "What is this shit?"
Yeah.
But maybe Bill.
That's what I was thinking last night. So.
Maybe it's not a good idea then.
We're still talking about it now. So
yeah. So just to kind of summarize it, what a card! I mean, if you DVR'd it, or whatever you need to do, torrent it, to watch it. This is really, I'd be shocked if there's a better card this year in MMA. You think I'm overselling it?
We're almost halfway through the year too, so this one definitely ranks up there.
Yeah, and I really didn't, I was just going to watch it, basically I watched it because we were going to talk about it, Of course I was going to watch Dan Henderson, but all the other fights, and I was happy I watched it. Yep.
I think that's how everybody would feel if they watched the show. This was a great one. One of the all-time great UFC shows, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so we'll end on that note, and probably see you'll be hearing from us during the week. We'll talk a little bit about UFC 188, Cain Velasquez, and Fabricio Verdum later.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hey, welcome to another edition of the Filthy FRB Show. Of course, I'm FRB, and I'm joined as always by Filthy Tom Lawlor. What's up, Tom?
Not too much. Well, actually, a lot. Hey, FRB, how come you don't say the date at the beginning of the show? I think that would clarify a lot of things.
Yeah, well, because a lot of times I don't know what day it is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try. Let's. It could be something like this. Welcome to the Filthy FRB Show. Today is Sunday, June 7th, 2015.
Yeah, I would like to do that, but sometimes, I don't know what day it is.
Well, next time, just look at the fucking calendar and do it. if that's what you'd like to do, your destiny is in your hands.
I'm not a very good broadcast professional. I'll admit that. But the card last night, the UFC card from New Orleans, man, I mean, it's got to be one of the most action-packed, exciting cards from top to bottom in the history of the company. Yeah,
this show was awesome, man. This was like I tuned in when it went on to Fox Sports 1 because only bums fight on Fight Pass. I'm not watching those guys.
Hey,
so I tuned into Fox Sports 1, and my boy Joe Proctor was in that first fight against Justin Edwards, and pretty much set the tone. I thought that fight was pretty good and an amazing finish because I'm not sure what the scorecards would have been, but that was a very close fight.
Hey, before we get into the fights, though, did you see the UFC for the card that you're on in Chicago? They're selling some tickets on Groupon, and I thought it was actually, they were discounting them already because you were on it. And they're not discounted. It's full face value. It's just on Groupon. But did you see the description of the card and what they said?
No.
Like, I sent it to you. They were like, Tom Lawlor and John Vellante will trade blows, and I got to pull it up. Something about like how to beat traffic. If you could pull it up on your phone, I took.
Where's this at?
It's like Groupon. Groupon is selling tickets for the card in Chicago.
Taka Michinoku versus the Great Sasuke.
Oh no! I remember it. I couldn't tell you that much about it.
Well, I could because it's generally regarded as like it was the best in your house of all time, and one of the best pay-per-views. You should go watch it if you have some time. But to me, it's kind of like that because in retrospect, that show didn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but it was a fun show with a lot of cool stuff going on, and that's what we saw last night in New Orleans.
Absolutely, yeah. So Jake Collier, he cut a promo after the show, about. He said when it comes to dirt poor, he says he's dirt. And I got to wonder, when the guys after the fights, when they cut promos saying how poor they are, does this kind of upset the UFC? Because, pay always seems to be a topic of conversation.
Well, the thing is, if all the fighters felt like they were getting paid what they should, they wouldn't be saying it. So,
Yeah.
But that's all it boils down to. Whether they think they should be getting $20,000 and they're only making $8, or I guess it would be 10 now since they raised the minimum. But no matter what it is, if the fighters don't feel like they're being rightfully compensated, then that's their platform to say so.
Yeah, no matter what business you're in, you're always going to want more money. But it's like they got guys that. They can't even afford to be professional athletes. Isn't that the most asinine statement? You can't afford to be a professional athlete.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about Brian Ebersol's fight later, I'm sure. But he said in his retirement speech, don't give it away. I'm sorry, that's a spoiler. But Brian Ebersol lost and then retired. In his speech, that he's been cheating the system for 15 years by being a fighter. And that's kind of the way it is for a lot of people, just kind of like doing enough to get by with fighting and not being able to set yourself up for the future, and just that's how it is.
Yeah, it's rough. And hey, check your WhatsApp, and I just sent you a screenshot of it. We can touch upon it in a little bit, but it's just funny the way they worded it. Just you were talking about before,
and then lockdown and guillotine on Edwards, and it was weird. They hit the ground. Proctor was kind of pulled guard, and Edwards was trying to back up, and it looked like he wasn't going to be able to get it. He switched his grip a little bit, and it still looked like Edwards is going to survive to the end of the fight. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, with 2 seconds left, he's unconscious, and Proctor wins.
Yeah, that was a good fight. So, what was the stat? It's the latest finish in that weight division in the history of the UFC?
Yeah, that's what I think John Anik said, our buddy John Anik. I think that's what he said was the last or the latest lightweight finish in a 3-round fight in UFC history.
Yeah, he always has his stats. I wonder who they have coming up with the stats. I wonder if it's that guy Mike Bond of MMA Junkie. I don't know how this guy does it. Do you follow him on Twitter, Tom?
No, but I will now.
Yeah, it's last name Bohn, and he's a young guy. I think he's only out of college a couple of years, but he writes for MMA Junkie, and he's got every statistic known to man. I don't know how you can come up with these statistics unless you have some kind of computer program to tell you. But he's able to tell you everything. So Yeah, that's a good follow for all things. And I also sent you another text about the Groupon thing. I can only get the Google search, so
All right.
I'm
Well,
not going insane.
yeah. Okay. We'll take care of that later.
Yeah, yeah. So moving on to the next fight, there was Chris Wade. He was taking on Christos Yagos. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. So just a little background on Wade. He went to Nassau Community College on Long Island, same as Chris Weidman, Phil Baroni, and then wrestled. He was a Division III All-American at SUNY Oneonta. So it looks like a pretty good prospect. He can wrestle a little bit and decent stand-up. He's 10-1. Anything stand out from that fight, Tom?
I didn't think his stand-up looked good at all, to be honest. I thought he just looked like a straight-up wrestler. I mean, he beat up Gallegos on the ground a little bit, and I mean, it wasn't like a stand-up.
Joe Proctor choked out Justin Edwards, and Proctor, his dad actually is an actor, and he was the #1 assistant to Captain Harris in Police Academy. And I don't think a lot of people realize Captain Harris, that was a shoot. I mean, he really is a captain, and Proctor was his #1 assistant.
Okay.
No, you can't confirm her.
I don't know. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to read this thing you sent me that doesn't even include me at all.
Oh, it does.
I don't see it.
Oh, shit. Did I send you the wrong one?
All right. Where were we? Explain that to me again.
Proctor.
Yeah. Procter and Gamble. Is that what's going on?
Oh, dude, this is so weird. They took you out of the description.
What?
Yeah,
I've been replaced.
Yeah, they put in there Edson Barbosa and Miles.
No way.
That's so weird.
I can't believe I was even on there in the first place.
Yeah, and it was like Tom Lawlor and John Vellante they'll be trading blows, which is kind of weird, and trading blows and exchanging tips on how to beat traffic. I was like, what? Like, who wrote this shit? So I guess somebody said something, and then
see if you can find it like in a cache somewhere. Anyways, okay, are we gonna get to these fights?
Yeah, yeah. So tell us about Proctor from the Police Academy fame beating Justin Edwards. A very historic fight, actually.
Oh, okay. I'm with you now. Okay, yeah. This was a pretty good fight. I used to train with Joe Proctor some up in Massachusetts. He's coming out of Lausanne's camp, and him and Edwards are both kind of known as guys that have good guillotines. And this was a good back and forth fight. I think the first round probably went to Edwards. Second round, maybe to Proctor. He was more effective with his strikes, but Edwards was pushing the pace, and he had the octagon control, I'd say. And then in the third round, Proctor looks like he's taking over with punches, and he hits, I think it was a knee to the body.
But, I mean, they're at full price. It's not like it's half price like usual.
Yeah, did you send this to me on WhatsApp or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure here. It must have been the in the conversation with our other friend. Where is it?
Yeah, okay, let me check.
Maybe I didn't. Did I not send it?
Yeah. How many cores deep are you, buddy?
Well, I didn't send it. Yeah, I had some this afternoon, but now I'm okay. I took a nap.
Yeah.
And
okay, well, tweet me this thing, whatever you're talking about. So, okay.
Yeah, I gotta find it. So the first fight there, at least it might not.
So let's get into the fights.
Yeah. So Ricardo Abreu, he got beat by Jake Collier. It was the fight pass. I mean, I know you didn't see it, but Collier, he had a good line. He said, "When it comes to dirt poor, I'm dirt." Did you read that?
No. I heard that he cut a great promo, but I didn't have a chance to listen to it between all the other stuff I've been watching all day.
Yeah, he started a trend last night of guys just kind of, saying how poor they were or begging for money.
Yeah. or cutting promos, as we'll get to in the co-main event.
You know, we were talking a little bit about this off the air, that in reality, this is not that important of a card. It's not like, you know, the winners of these fights are going to go on to fight in eliminator fights, except Rothwell, probably. But there's so much to talk about. You got Rothwell's promo, you got Tavares's cuts, you got Marcus Davis with the Freddie Roach glasses cutting a promo that people are watching. They're like, what is he talking about? I mean, there's so many different elements. You got Dan Henderson, the legend, walking in there, you know, like an old man, looking like an old man, and just knocking this guy out. I mean, this had a little bit of everything.
You know what this was, Brian? Now that I think about it, this is like MMA's version of Canadian Stampede 1997. Remember that pay-per-view that WWE had that had like some insane 10-man tag in Canada? It was in Calgary, and